All right, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of a Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam. And today we will be looking at the not too young to run issue. I mean, that's a hashtag that has been trending for quite a while on Twitter, and it's been drawing a lot of attention from different places. And joining me today to look at this issue, we have Mariam Loshi. She works with an NGO. She's also an advocate for young people to run for office. Mariam, thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
And also we have Samson Itodo. He is with Youth Action Initiative Africa. Samson is also an advocate for young people to run for office, although he says he's not interested in running, but he's interested in conducting elections that will see young people, of course, come into office. Samson, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, you look like a gentleman, and like they say, ladies first. I know you would prefer Mariam to start or kickstart or set the ball rolling on this conversation. So, Mariam, let's come to you. Start this conversation. What is this hashtag all about? Of course, like I just gave a brief as to what it looks like or what it sounds like, but then you have been at the forefront along with Samson. What can you tell us about the Not Too Young to Run campaign?
So the Not Too Young to Run campaign is basically about inclusion, about getting younger people to participate more in the political process and governance in Nigeria. So it's a bill that was submitted to the House of Reps to reduce the age for elective office. So on the bill, it says for governor and senator and president, we would like the age to come down to 30. And for the House of Reps and the State House of Assembly, 25. So this will allow young people to run for office. And the second part of the bill talks about independent candidacy.
All right, very well. That's what you call a brief but concise. But Samson, let me also come to you if you'd like to shed more light on what she just said.
Well, thank you very much. Young to Run campaign. It's a campaign that is geared towards addressing some of the political, I'll call it structural imbalances within our political system that excludes a larger percentage of our population from running for office. What we have within our political process is a system that excludes young people from running, where at 18, they are believed to be matured enough to understand the manifestos of political parties, to determine who to elect to run for office or rule over them. But they are believed not to be capacitated enough to actually lead or run for office. And so they have to wait until they are 40 to run for president, until they are 35 to run for governors, or even Senate, or 30 to run for House of Reps, and then 30 for State House of Assembly. And so what the campaign seeks to do is to address the constitutional age requirements where young people need to a particular age before they run for office. So that's what the campaign seeks to do, to open up that space. If we say democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and you exclude the largest block of your population on the basis of the fact that they are not matured enough, then it's making a mockery of democracy. And democracy is about inclusion. Therefore, governments and nations need to ensure that the legal framework that regulates elections creates that space where both young people, women, are free to participate and exercise their franchise.
All right, very well. That being said, do you think people, like that range, do you think they are actually ready for political leadership? Because that has also been one of the bone of contention. And they're like, young people, okay, when you go there, you probably might not have the necessary or required expertise and experience to handle the pressures that come with the office. Do you think Nigerian, or do you think young people are actually ready for political leadership? Let's even look at it here in Nigeria.
Well, a lot of young people are ready for political leadership. Let us go through history. In 1933, 1934, 1935, the the party that actually fought for our independence, which was a Nigerian youth movement, was led by young people, the likes of Professor Iswa, Ernest Ikoli, Samuel Akinsanya. These were people who were in their early 30s and even at 29, and they started organizing, and they fought against colonialism. The indirect rule that we celebrate today, even the democracy that we celebrate today, was actually fought by young people. Will you say that they were not matured enough to actually muster the courage and the energy to fight against colonialism or even military dictatorship? If we celebrate our independence, who moved the first motion for independence in the federal house? Actually, a young person. So the argument that young people are not capacitated enough and it doesn't hold water. If young people can fight for democracy, if young people can fight colonialism at a very, see no reason why at 30 or at 25, and you don't have young people who have the capacity to run for office. Keep in mind, today, we've got young people who already have their PhDs. We've got young people in organizations and startups. We've got young people who are running the show, who are different aspects of our to wrong policy effort that seeks to exclude the older generation. No. What Not Too Young to Run seeks to do is to promote intergenerational dialogue. If you bring young people into the room, then they can tap from the wisdom of the elderly, and then the elderly would also give and innovation.
All right, Samson, we actually lost some of your thoughts along the line. The internet was kind of freezing, but then we'll still come back to you to get more on this point that you were trying to make. But Mariam, let me just come to you. I'm trying to look at looking at what Samson said. He had to give us like a history lesson, so to speak, to try to place things in place. But then, what is the situation? Because what is obtainable in other countries? Because you could probably say that it has been done in other countries where young people are actually in positions of leadership. And why is it a different case? What do we have? What is obtainable? What can you give us maybe like a statistics of young people maybe in other countries?
Okay, so in other countries, it's not so great either, because when you look at in many African countries, a lot of the leaders are around 70, even older. And in most countries, about 73% of countries around the world, they have age restrictions on running for office. And the average age of world leaders around the world is 62 years old. That's way past being a youth, but we have young examples of people, for example, Mary Black. She won at age 20 as a member of parliament in the UK. During the last elections in the US, I also saw a few young people.
All right. It seems we're also having issues with Mariam's internet. Samson, if you're there, you could just come to the rescue.
Well, Mariam was actually making a point and making references to what's obtainable in other climes. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, so even look at our nearby Ghana. I was in Ghana for the last elections, and a young lady who's just 22 years, who is still a law student, the elections, and she is the youngest member of the Parliament of Ghana. In fact, she is the youngest in the whole of West Africa. At 22, she actually ran for office and she won the elections. Now, that is what we want. The point must be made that whilst we also seek young people to be in office, we want young people who have the capacity, who have the character, who can add value and provide alternatives to the challenges that confront us as a country, and not just every kind of young person who actually turns 18 or who. So this is everywhere, and we hope that if the National Assembly, having demonstrated the kind of leadership it has demonstrated so far, passes this legislation, it will enhance the quality of our democracy. It will enhance the quality of competition within our political process.
All right, well, it's like you said, we hope these things and come into place so they enhance all these stuff you made mention about. Okay, Mariam is still not back. She came back, but then her internet again has failed. Okay, she's back again. Let's see if she'll be able to contribute at this moment. Mariam, if you can hear me. Uh, well, we still can't hear us. So, Samson, let's just continue. Okay, she's back now. Okay, hi. Well, we lost you at a moment.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was talking about the statistics around the world.
Yes.
The average age of world leaders is about 62. A lot of the statistics show that older people are leading the world, but it also shows that 51% of the world's population is under 30. In Nigeria, for example, we have 6 million youth, and that's a massive amount of age. You know, we need to realize that for inclusion to work, these people need to be involved in leadership and in making decisions that affect our future.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes. So young people need to be involved. If we are in such large numbers, then it's only fair for young people to have the opportunity and the chance to be a part of governance.
No, all right. So one key thing that this campaign aims to seek is the issue of, like you made mention, like you said earlier, the age issue. You're advocating that the age issue should be like. So I think that's one of the challenges. What other challenges do young people have in trying to even run for office?
Well, for young people, I think one of the major issues is the funding. We know that it kind of costs for young people to afford tickets to run for office with any of these political parties. And repeatedly, one of the issues that have come up is the fact that there is limited funding for young people who want to run for office.
All right, very well. I'd like to say that we do see all of you that are watching via our YouTube stream. I'll take just a few comments before I come back for us to continue with the discussion. Then Lami Gumwalk says, even more importantly, young under 30 demographically are the largest group. Adebayo Moruf says, how can one be part of the conversation? Well, Adebayo, I'll get back to you on this later on. Nene Constance Maduka says, I really don't think age should come into this. We should look at the passion and the drive behind the person. Then Lami adds that even as someone over 40, I believe young people can inject real issues and passion besides making money. I know because I used to be young. Constance Maduka says again that young people can be just as selfish and misguided as the old. Samson, let me come to you. Looking at Constance's submission, where he says they can be as young people can be as selfish and as misguided as the old. Do you agree with him on this?
Well, I agree, and it's actually well, I align myself with him, but the point, it's not about whether young people can be as selfish as the older generation. First, you need to look at the society that we come from, and this is hinged on our values. We do have a very horrible value system where the values of integrity, the values of honesty, the values of patriotism have been eroded from our national life. And this is not as a result of young people being in office, but the fact that over the years we've had leaders that have not demonstrated what leadership means, or to them, leadership is not service. And so that's the paradigm of leadership that we have seen in 20 years. But if you give young people who come with a new orientation about leadership, the fact that public office is for common good, to an extent, we'll be contributing our own quota to changing the paradigm and the narrative of the Nigerian state. And I think this is a unique opportunity. There are young people today who have demonstrated character, who have demonstrated capabilities, who have demonstrated competence, but cannot find themselves in decision-making offices because their constitution says they must wait until they attain a certain age. That is injustice in every respect. And let us not run down these categories of young people who have demonstrated
All right. Again, the internet is coming in between us.
high regard our post. All we need to do. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. We're losing you at a point.
Yeah, I think it's about time we relegate this argument. But let's look at this from an institutional point of view. If we have functional institutions, if we respect institutions and respect the rule of law, then these institutions can inform the character of governance. So whoever comes into office will know that yes, there's actually an institution in place. I will not do anything that is outside the law or ultra virus in every respect. And so for me, is to address the institutional question, is to identify young people who have capacity, who have character, and who have the high moral regard to actually hold office in trust for people. And I tell you, there are a lot of young people who are out there who, if given the opportunity, will not run down this country, will not steal public funds the way we have seen over the last couple of years, will have high regard for the people who actually vote, and responsive leaders every place or every sector that they find themselves. Those young people are there. Our political parties need to open up the space for those categories of young people as candidates of those parties. You asked about what are other challenges. The lack of internal party democracy in our parties is one of the greatest obstacles that young people face as of the high cost of running for office in Nigeria. You have a situation where delegates system is highly monetized and young people do not have that capacity. You've got the influence of godfathers or the hegemons that are within the political parties that makes it difficult candidates or young aspirants to become candidates within the political parties. And that's why Not Too Young to Run also promotes independent candidacy. If you've got independent candidacy, you would can participate. Ghana has got independent candidacy, and there was an independent last election. So I see no reason why we shouldn't open up that space for young people, women, and even persons with disability to participate in the process with the common goal of ensuring that the people are represented efficiently.
All right. So just before we continue, Constance, Nene Constance, I'm sorry I said I introduced you as a he, but you have corrected me and you said you are a female. I'm sorry about that. But then let me also come back to you, Mariam, just before I look at other comments. Looking at the issue of young people being misguided as, I mean, allegedly misguided as the old. Do you think that would be the case? Or could probably be the case?
In some cases, it's true. I think, I heard this comment earlier by Jafet Amodra, so I'm going to quote him. He said, "Your age neither qualifies or disqualifies you." The truth is that young people have qualities that I believe and everyone should see are necessary for running a country. We are so lively, we are so innovative, we have so many great ideas, that can help run this country better. So I think when it comes to age, the Not Too Young to Run campaign is about inclusion for young people, We're not saying young people should take over all the leadership in Nigeria. It's necessary for people who are in such large numbers to be involved in making decisions that affect our future. Young to Run campaign is. And if you look at older people and younger people, it's one of those, demarcations that we continue to have in when people are classified. We see some people are Muslim, some people are Christian, some people are from this tribe or this region, and then some people are young or old. None of these factors should matter when we are talking about somebody who has the qualities to lead. To lead are not particular to the older generation or a particular group of people. It's something that you have in you. And I believe, and I think if you look around there, there are people who are working really hard, like Samson said, in different sectors of the world, in the country, so I don't think we should take it as, oh, young people are going to, we shouldn't kind of just generalize and say young people are just not good enough to do this. There are many young people, even though the reality is there are others who aren't. And it's the same thing with the older generation. There are some, they don't have the good character to be a leader in Nigeria, and some other people do. So it's the same way you would need young people involved as well as older people involved.
All right, very well. Let me take again some comments from the stream. Okay, so Dalami says, at least youth is their excuse. What's the excuse of the old? Well, we'll get some of the speakers to respond to this. Nene says, our leaders are there because we put them there. Remember, we voted them in. Let the young campaign. Less talk, more action. So let's take a moment again and look at this and look at Nene's comment. She says, less talk, more action. How much action has been out there, Mariam?
In terms of
maybe campaigning, coming out, because like she said, less talk, more action. There's been so much talk, campaigns on Twitter and even roadwalks, road shows, going to the National Assembly. But what else? What more? Have young people put themselves out there for election?
The truth is that the age restriction doesn't allow young people to come out and vote, to come out and participate or to run for office. There are young people who, are coming together, forming political parties because they want to have a say in what happens in this country. And when it comes to this campaign, in the Senate and in the House of Reps, so it's not something that's happening only online. There are, we know the Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara has supported the bill and the campaign. Even the United Nations Youth Envoy, the UK government has also endorsed the campaign. It's something that has been launched worldwide so that young people can begin to change some of these restrictions. The restrictions are there. It's not fabricated. The restrictions are there. So if as a 25-year-old, for example, I say I want to run for office, allow me to do so.
Sadly so, and we hope the Constitution or the bill scales through and that anomaly is, well, so to speak now, corrected. But Samson, let me also come back to you in terms of the action, even though as Nalami says in the comment chat here, he says, the issue is under 30 cannot campaign due to age restrictions or rules around being sponsored by a party. But so, I mean, the bill is there now. Is there any form of pressure on the members to accede or to acquiesce to this request?
Well, just to build on what Mariam had said about this Honorable Speaker of the House, currently the bill has scaled second reading in the House of Reps, and it's before the Committee on Constitutional Review, headed by the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Yusuf Suleiman Lassun. At the Senate, it's just past first reading, and so we hope that it will be debated at second reading, perhaps in January. There are several groups and organizations who are engaging the lawmakers at different levels to ensure that a quick passage of this bill. The National Assembly has set the the first quarter of next year to conclude on the constitutional amendment. So there are a lot of advocacy in that regard. But I think also out of the National Assembly, there's a lot of mobilization going on at different levels, and different groups are engaging their different state houses of assembly to seek support, because beyond the 72 senators who will have to vote in support of this bill if it must pass, or the 240 members of the House, we also need about 24 state houses of assembly who will have to vote in support of this, because this is a constitutional amendment bill. And so we indulge this different state houses of assembly to support this, and young people at different level at different states should also support this. At a global level, there are several advocacy efforts. The UN, like Mariam also mentioned, is also on the global campaign. So different are beginning to take initiatives to ask for a reduction of the age of the voting age and the age to run for office. But the point must be made: if this bill is actually passed, will we have a lot of young people run in 2019? I am sure we will, but there are also other obstacles. But this is just an entry point. The question about political parties will need to be raised. Our political parties need to be open. They need to be transparent. They need to be democratic in every respect, so young people can actually emerge. We also need to ask for affirmative action for young people within the political parties. A certain percentage, max percent of candidates that are presented by political parties, I see no reason why they shouldn't be young people if we've got progressive parties who are more interested in injecting new ideas and tapping into the resilience and the energy of young people. I think if I were a member of any political party or a leader of a political party, I think this is a unique opportunity to tap into the resilience and the energy of young people ahead of 2019, and not just use them as voters or as campaign instruments, but there's a lot of leadership competencies, there's a lot of creativity that young people have, and candidates in a political party will not just project the political party as a youth-friendly party, but trust me, the capacity that young people bring to bear and the value cannot be neglected any longer. America understands it. The UK understands it. Other countries in Africa understand it. Ghana understands it. South Africa understands it. Kenya understands it. Uganda understands it. And I see why the giant of Africa shouldn't also toe this line, where other nations are tapping into the potential of their young population.
All right. So just before we wrap up, Mariam, let me come to you on this. Again, I'm looking at the chats on YouTube, and Elami says, besides the bill, can't the constitutional restriction be challenged in court?
Well, people have brought up that argument, but the thing is, the Not Too Young to Run campaign is focused towards sending the bill out. That's what the Not Too Young to Run campaign is focused on. But if you as a youth organization or as a youth have other options that you would like to pursue in order to include young people in governance, then by all means, feel free to do so. And if you would like to be involved with the bill, you can always get in contact with Yaga and contribute in your own way to, promote the campaign.
All right, very well then. So just in wrapping up now, Samson, what would you say as your closing statement?
Well, I think this is a moment in history for us as a country, and I expect that the National Assembly should fast track the passage of this bill. It will be remarkable. They will be writing their name in gold as the 8th assembly that is not just youth-friendly, but a democratic assembly that promotes inclusion. You cannot exclude 60% of your population. The more you continue to do that, the more Boko Haram will continue to radicalize our young people. The more ISIL will have a constituency to recruit, the more kidnapping will be on a high increase, the more the level of criminality will be on a high increase if this country doesn't prioritize the issue of political inclusion of young people. And so this is one avenue. And we call on the National Assembly and all the political parties and different stakeholders to jump on this and ensure a speedy passage ahead of the 2019 elections.
Thank
you very much. Mariam, your own closing statement?
For me, the Not Too Young to Run campaign is such a massive deal. I'm so glad that the media, as well as a lot of Nigerian youth, are coming together to support such an important movement and such an important campaign. I would really love it if our lawmakers understood how important, this bill and this movement is to the inclusion, to the dynamics of our country. It will be amazing to have younger people and older people coming together to make decisions, for this country where you have innovation and wisdom coming together. I would also like every young person and even every older person in Nigeria to support the campaign. So yaga.org, YIAGA.org, Too Young to Run for more information and to join us.
All right, thank you very much, Mariam Loshi. You're joining us from Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital, as well as Samson Itodo joining us as well from Abuja, again, the federal capital territory. Nene was joining us, or she was watching us from London, and Lami Gomok was also watching from Abuja. Let me also take a few of their comments. Oh, there was bans going on here. Lami says, Nene is enjoying cheaper data than me. Well, I believe that will also be looked into sometime in the nearest future. But then he says, beyond cajoling, ask youths to throw their votes behind candidates that openly supports, well, he didn't complete that statement, but I want to believe it will be youth-friendly policies. But then that's how we have to wrap it up on this edition of the program. Thank you for joining us and watching us, and also contributing while watching too. It is, again, a Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam, and I am Victor Matthias. Thanks for joining us again.